The Saab 9.3 is still the best-selling four-seat cabrio, and it's also a few grand cheaper than the other two. Saabs are always a bit quirky, like for instance the ignition key on the floor. Unlike all other current Saabs, this 2-litre 16-valve has got a small turbo for better power and emissions. You know, Mike's BMW may be the new flash kid on the block, but I reckon my Saab's still got a few tricks up its sleeve. We'll catch up with our soft tops later, but first, how do you get a BMW for Mondeo money?
In 1994, BMW took the knife to the 3 Series and created the Compact. Although not as good a drive as the rest of the range, it was the first step on the BMW ladder and it proved a huge success. Now there's a new Compact on sale from August, but is it just another hacked-down version of the 3 Series or a car in its own right? But seriously, the Compact is the first 3 Series to show off its new nose. It's also the first to get the new Valvetronic engine, another marketing term, Valvetronic. All it really means is that the engine boosts fuel economy by an extra 10%. The Compact comes with 2 engine sizes, 2.5 litre and this, the 1.8 litre version, which we think will probably be the biggest seller. So BMW have bunged a 1.8 litre engine into the 316. It's so confusing. But one thing is clear, the new Compact is more fuel efficient than the last. This 316 has a staggering combined miles per gallon of 40.9. It also boasts better performance from the new 115 brake horsepower engine, reaching 62 miles per hour in 10.9 seconds and a top speed of 125. The engine does start to get a little bit noisy as you're using the revs through the twisty bits, but on the motorway it's very refined and very quiet. Gearbox is lovely and notchy, very easy to find all of the gears, and of course it's rear-wheel drive, which means the wheels are pushing you up the hill instead of pulling you. You don't get the torque steer and the vibration of front-wheel drive. It's a really cracking, exciting and sporty ride. I'm really impressed. Driving position is excellent. The finish inside is absolutely superb. BMW are not selling you short. What you're getting is a real, true BMW, but just in miniature. Okay, so it is a great drive. It's great to be in, but it's just not much to look at, is it? They made a bit of an effort with these new lights, but it's so dull and boring and ordinary. Looks like a Vauxhall Astra from here. Like all the hatchbacks in this sector, the Compact has an ample boot as well as seats that fold flat. It has a longer wheelbase than before, giving it more space inside, but you still won't fit 2 adults comfortably in the back. The Compact will fall well within company car allowances, but competition is fierce. Young execs may ponder the Audi A3, the Alfa 147 or the forthcoming Mercedes Sport Coupe. With some of the strongest competition in the hatchback market, the BMW Compact has got to be a great car. And it is. It's a thoroughly involving, exciting and sporty drive. A posh hatchback at £16,500. But, and there has to be a but, its looks let it down dreadfully. There is no escaping the fact that it is a chopped down 3 Series.
2 weeks ago we launched our Rust in Peace campaign to fight the epidemic of dumped cars. The response has been fantastic, but we still need more support. Log on to 4car.co.uk and take part in the first national opinion poll. Now it's back to our soft tops and ride quality.
Soft top or big flop? Chopping the roof off a car is a huge engineering job. The roof forms an active part of the car's body shell, which helps with its handling and its ride over rough roads. But as soon as you take that roof away, somehow you've got to re-engineer all the strength into the bottom of the car.
This gives car makers a problem because if it's not quite right, you get scuttle shake. Now, the scuttle panel is here. It's the last bulkhead between you and the engine. It also forms a brace between the windscreen and the floor. Scuttle shake will give you woolly steering response, unwanted interior vibrations and squeaks and rattles across the dashboard. Not what you want in any car, let alone one that costs 30 grand.
So to find out if any of our trio suffer with scuttle shake, we're going to do a ride quality test over this cobbled surface. Now that should rattle their bones.
Our ride quality test will also show which car has the best passenger comfort. First over the cobbles, the BMW. Now, we've got a particularly hard test for these cars. We've got a cobbled street, which we're going to drive down between 15 and 20 miles an hour. Now, all convertible cars on this rough terrain would suffer from scuttle shake, but I have to say this BMW is remarkably good. There isn't a great deal of wobbling of the steering wheel. The interior mirror on the windscreen, well, it's fairly stable.
It feels so solid. I'm so comfortable in here. The fit and finish in this car is second to none, wonderfully comfy.
But overall, it's very comfortable, very snug, but not as much room as I would like.
So here we are in the Volvo. It's not anywhere near as comfortable as the BMW in terms of scuttle shake. There's much more. It's just, it's a bit grotty.
Well, I can see the vibration going up through your arms, and everything on the dashboard seems to be shaking a bit, and the mirrors and everything, and you can feel it again through the floor.
It's actually moving itself down through the body and shimmering my seat left and right as well. And it feels like I'm sitting perched on the corner of a washing machine.
It doesn't feel quite as classy as the BMW, but it is much more spacious.
Yeah, it's more comfortable, I've got a lot more space, but nowhere near as good in terms of scuttle shake as that BMW. Right, now the Saab, which is the oldest design on test here, has definitely got maybe the most spaced out of all three of the cars. However, it's a lot more windy in the back. I'm getting a lot more wind brought over the back of the boot lid towards me, and I think that's because there's a silly boot spoiler that's channeling all the wind to the back of my hair, and I'm going to lose my syrup in a minute.
Well, I'm going to have to book myself an appointment at the hairdresser's because I'm just getting blown to pieces in the Saab. I don't know why. It's much worse in here for hair and for wind. As far as vibration is concerned, somehow the really soft leather seats tend to soak up most of it.
It's kind of a lower frequency vibration. It's not as good as the BMW, nowhere near as good, and it's marginally better than the Volvo. It's not as harsh, but it's better. It's more comfortable.
The Volvo rattles its way into third place. The Saab was surprisingly good and finishes second. But the rock-solid BMW takes first place and an early lead.
In part 2, which cabrio converts fastest when rain clouds gather?
And I'll be searching the car lots of Britain to find the best second-hand alternative to our driven 100 soft tops.
Baby, I've been waiting for some time to find a way to free your mind. Yeah, it's the simple things you do to me. You've been looking for, well, my baby, you better know. Now I wanna take you higher. Don't keep me waiting on the outside love. Can't stop it if you wanted to, 'cause I was made for loving you. Yeah, yeah.
Sharp, dynamic, Protector 3D Diamond, with the sharpest edges.
Tetley's bitter. Smoothly does it.
Welcome back. Later, Jason is in our sound engineering report, but first, I think I can feel a few spots of rain.
So you just spent 30 grand on your brand new convertible. You'd expect a few toys, wouldn't you? Well, all three of our cars come with the best toy of all, an electronically operated roof.
All you need is one finger and one button. Now, BMW claim this 3 Series has got the quickest roof in its class.
But that's only when the roof goes down. What people are really interested in is how quickly the roof will go up when the heavens open.
We've got our very own angels armed with pump-action water pistols to simulate a sudden downpour. Fingers on triggers, who's in for a soaking?
Well, the Volvo is a very stylish car and built brilliantly, and I'm really hoping the roof goes up quickly because it's really scary watching those guys with the guns. Got one button just under the steering wheel, and it's got a very steeply raked windscreen, which I'm going to have to hide behind, I suspect. Oh God, it's really scary.
Now, I reckon this is the oldest system here, so I could be in for a hosing, so I'm not going to take any chances.
Now, I'm up against the other two here, but on paper, this is the quickest at getting its roof up, so I feel pretty confident. I know the other two are racing drivers, but I do think I've got a bit of a chance here.
Wait for the countdown. Oh dear. Right, we're off!
My hand's on the button, and there's a horrible delay as you're waiting for the roof to come on! It just starts so slowly!
There is a one-button operation, this. And on paper, they say it's the quickest, and it's not funny!
Come on, directed. Well, I think we're ahead of the Volvo.
Right, now I can do up the windows. That's a one-button operation too. He's having a good go. Oi! Spray me. Well, you can stop now, it's in.
Here it comes, eventually, onto the top. Oh no, he's coming around the side. Come on, roof! You're too slow! Come on!
And he's still got her windows to do, so she's getting soaking.
Now the windows.
Come on, you silly car! Come on, Volvo!
Well, we've beaten the Volvo, but Mike's well finished.
Here it comes. Oh, I think we lost that battle. We'd have got the most soaked out of everybody.
Soaked is the operative word, Pen. The Volvo's a damp squib and comes last again. The Saab drizzles into second, but the BMW is high and dry in first place.
Throaty roar or gentle purr? How do you want your car to sound?
A little like Mozart, or perhaps some techno. Or what about some thrash metal? I don't think so. We all have our preferences to what music we listen to, but what about the sound of our cars?
Since the early days of motoring, manufacturers have spent millions making our cars sound as quiet as possible. And we all want really quiet cars, don't we? Well, apparently not. According to industry surveys, most of us actually like hearing our cars. So, manufacturers have given their engineering boffins a new challenge: to find out what sounds people prefer and put these sounds back in.
We start off by making recordings of a range of different cars using a binaural head. And that's basically a mannequin with microphones in its ears. We play those to a panel of listeners and ask them what their opinions are of those sounds, really, in order to find out what is the right type of sound for the particular type of car. Sound quality engineering has been going on for about 5 years now. It started off with luxury manufacturers, and it's now working its way right through to pretty much every car you can buy today.
At present, manufacturers decide how our cars should sound. But wouldn't it be great if we could choose? After all, you change the music on your stereo to suit your mood, so why not have a car that can change its engine note? Well, at Lotus Engineering, they got a car that does exactly that. We're in Lotus's test vehicle. It's a Toyota Corolla, a fairly bland car with an uninspiring engine. But let's say you fancy a bit of V8. Well, you push a button on the stereo. Hey presto. Well, I'm not sure about that sound. I don't think I like it. I fancy something a bit more racy, a bit more flat six. That's more like it. The engineers at Lotus take, for instance, a V8. They analyse the sound, put it through a computer, and marry that to the car via the throttle pedal and the engine revs. Hey presto, Porsche 911 through the stereo.
All good fun. But come on, it's a bit of a gimmick, isn't it?
However, Lotus has a more serious application for the system. You see, to the acoustic engineer, as to the avid music listener, sound is a good thing. Noise, on the other hand, is something completely different.
It doesn't matter what car you own, it's going to make some noise. Take, for example, the constant whine of your engine whilst you're cruising down the motorway. The Lotus system uses your car stereo to copy and reproduce a negative sound wave of the whining engine noise. Your ear then hears the positive and actual sound from the engine, as well as the negative sound through your car stereo. And because plus and minus equals nothing, although the engine whine is still there, your ear is tricked and you no longer hear it. So, sound engineers now have the know-how to get rid of almost all the bad noise from our cars and fill them with sounds that we want to hear. We'll all benefit from this technology, but as ever in life, those with the fattest wallets will benefit most. After all, you wouldn't want to fork out 20 grand on your new Audi and then hear your next door neighbour Skoda tootle past making exactly the same sound. Get my point?
Well, you'll be needing a pretty fat wallet to buy one of this week's sumptuous soft tops, but log on to 4car.co.uk and let the bargain price finder guide you to the best possible deal around. Well, if you haven't got 30 big ones to spend, then fear not, because we've sought out a classy convertible that can be bought for half the price. It's a well-built, solid motor with virtually no scuttle shake. As for engine sizes, I'd recommend you go for the 1.8. It's cheaper to insure, more economical, and almost as quick as the more powerful 2.5 V6. Now, a 98R in good nick like this one will set you back around 15 grand, and for that, you do get the ever-flash power hood. A full service history is a must, but unfortunately you've got to get your hands dirty and get under the bonnet. The first thing to check is to make sure the oil's not too sludgy on the dipstick. As these are only a summer car, they could have skipped their oil changes. But it's also important you listen to the engine. If you hear a ticking noise at best, the hydraulic tappets could need adjusting, and at worst it could mean your camshaft worn out. The 4-cylinder engines can suffer from warm valve guides, so you want to get yourself down by the exhaust and look out for any signs of blue smoke when it's revving. This one's just got condensation coming out, so it's nice and clean. Underneath, you want to check the brakes and suspension for signs of rust, the gearbox and transmission for signs of leaking. And finally, check the bodywork for fit and finish on all the panels, and don't forget to make sure the roof mechanism works in its entirety. Now, this is a tiny little motor, and I give this one 8 out of 10. Talking of scores, it's time to get back to the Driven 100.
The BMW 330 is out in front, but that could change as we put our 3 convertibles to the people's vote.
These 3 cars are definitely aimed at the posers amongst us, so we've come to the ancient town of St Albans to find out which of our 3 cars St Albans folk would prefer to pose in.
You like it?
Yeah, I like the Woodman interior as well. Is that all hand?
It is all hand. But do you think it's, I mean, your honest opinion, is it a poser's car? Would you like to be seen in this?
Posing thing aside, the performance of the car is excellent. Pretty very good. I'm thinking about one myself.
You get the interior in different colours.
You can, yeah, they do a whole range of different interior and exterior colours.
Don't like it. It's the same as the Volvo, and I don't like the colour.
I want this as my company car.
Like this, just
well, what, you could get promotion.
And I've got a Rover 400, and this will do.
What's it like on petrol? If you can afford to buy a car like this, you don't worry about the petrol.
You wouldn't think this was a Volvo, if that makes sense. You know, you used to see these big square-looking tanks, and then you see this. It's much better.
And you think this is pretty?
Yes, yeah, I do.
I wasn't keen on the BMW, but I prefer that to this one.
Do you?
Yeah.
For what reason?
It's just a bit more compact and a bit more sporty looking.
I would say that the BMW feels right, whereas this doesn't seem so right.
So ultimately I'm going to have to ask you, can you pose in a Volvo?
You'd struggle, I think.
You're going to struggle.
Where are we off to?
Yeah,
Where should we go? Thelma and Louise were off. Okay, Thelma.
So how does this compare with the other 2 then?
It's nice. I like all the fact that the colours all the same and darker. That's the first thing you notice, actually.
Saab is a 1980s. I don't like the spoiler on the back. It should be designed
Well,
without
take it
a spoiler.
off.
What? How much is the car?
£26,000.
So for £26,000, they've got to stick a fiberglass spoiler on. They can't design the car like the BMW with the lines.
I think the BMW is getting quite common now. With what it, you know, everyone's got a BMW, whereas the Saab has still got that individualness to it.
You sat in the other 2 now. This is the last car. What do you think?
I would say I prefer the interior, but I think the BM still feels better around the dash. But I think the look of this car externally is nicer. Definitely.
Do you?
I do, yeah.
So you're not the only one. A few people have been saying this. The Saab, it kind of hits it with these people. They like it.
Well, it's time to vote with our feet. The people of St Albans are going to choose which car they'd prefer to pose in. So guys, you need to stand right by the car of your choice.
Right, so I expect a great
And I
run
want
around the front here,
around
please.
the front of my Volvo.
Everyone like the BMW. Where are you all going?
All the Volvo.
Where's everyone? Oi. How many have I got? I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 poses for me.
How many have I got? Oh, let me count them up. It's going to take a while. Well, Volvo's not the car to pose in. I've got 2.
Right, well, I've got Would you believe it? 12 posers. Never thought I'd get that many. Looks like I've won this test. Tough luck.
So, a big hand for the Saab 9.3.
Right, it's time to dish out the points in a Driven 100, where we can award points for how well they drive, how desirable they are, how practical, and how much they cost to run. There's 25 points up for grabs in each of those categories. We're going to start with a BMW and drivability. It's the first soft top we've driven that feels like a hard top. An excellent drive, 22 points. The Volvo was a bit disappointing. It scores 16. The Saab was surprisingly good over the cobbles, 17.
Desirability and the BMW.
In my opinion, the ultimate poser's car.
It is, but I also believe that there is a section of people that wouldn't like to be seen in this car. Like, you're a bit cocky, you're a bit, you know, oh, look at me, I got my Beamer.
You're painting a perfect picture of myself, Kate.
A bit flash, but still highly desirable. 20. The Volvo looks good, but not good enough.
And our punters proved that you just can't pose in a Volvo.
17 points. The Saab was a big hit in St Albans, a classy 20.
Now, practicality and the BMW. Cramped in the back, but you can reclaim some boot space when the roof's up. 14. The Volvo's got the least boot space and poor rear visibility. A lowly 13. And the Saab?
You can reclaim the boot space, so it's got a decent sized boot. I suspect this is the most practical of the three cars here.
OK, 15 points.
Now it's cost of ownership and the BMW. The car we got on test here is 30,400 quid. It's the most per mile, it's 71.7p a mile. And it scores 13. And the Volvo? Right then, guys, cost of ownership, 27,895 quid. It's the cheapest to run this car at 61.7p a mile, which is good. So, 15. Right, now the Saab is the cheapest car on test here, only costs 26,295 quid, and it costs 63.7p a mile, which is in between the other two. And it gets 14.
So it scores on the doors for our three soft tops. In third place, the Volvo. It looks great, but it isn't so great to drive. A disappointing